actual dividing line between East and West? Can we identify a source for Western thought that is distinct from that of the East? Campbell thinks we can.
Now, this period is a fascinating one. It's a period of enormous transformations. In Persia, there's a great teacher at this time, Zoroaster. And the gathas, or hymns of Zoroaster, are so close to Sanskrit that the Persians and Aryans of India cannot have been long separated when these were written. The languages were too close. And so the probable dating of Zarathustra is somewhere around the time of these Upanishads. Now, it's out of the Zoroastrian or Zarathustra message that our whole Western tradition comes, in contrast to that which is of the Buddha. So I want to say something about that first and then talk about the Buddha. I have 10 minutes in which to do this. Zoroaster was totally against sacrifice. He was totally against the whole drift of these psychologies in India and of the earlier mythologies that were concerned with putting yourself in harmony with the universe. Zoroaster, in his mythology, sees two gods. Ahura Mazda, the Lord of Light, after whom the Mazda bulbs were named. Ahura means kind of spirit, and Mazda is this particular spirit of light. Ahura Mazda, who is all light, all benevolence, all power, all knowledge. And then against him is the opposite deity called Angra Mainyu, A-N-G-R-A-M-A-I-N-Y-U, who is darkness, hypocrisy, and deception. What he has done has been to concretize two opposites. The good and the evil, the light and the dark, have been here personified, over-personified, you might say, as gods. And the mythology is as follows, that the good God created a good world which was all light, consequently invisible. To see something, you have to have shadow. And Angra Mainyu, who's always late and always jealous, is angry at seeing this and decides to do something about it and pours darkness and sin and everything nasty into it. And so there is a fall. And so the universe consists of a good and an evil power in conflict and in union. So do not put yourself in harmony with the universe. That's exactly what you mustn't do. That's what you are in the first place. You're a mixture. You must, through intention, through decision, through action, and through courage, align yourself with what you recognize as the good. And then the myth tells that there came into the world a savior to teach the way to accent the good. And as a result of the action of this savior, there is now taking place a restoration. There are the good people who are restoring the world to its original condition, so that you have a straight line ascent to a restoration. And there will come a time when the crisis will occur, when all darkness will be wiped out. There will be a second coming of the Savior in the form of a figure known as Saoshyant, and darkness will be permanently eliminated, the Lord of Darkness himself eliminated, and there will be nothing but light again. Do you recognize the story? And so we have here on this western coast, this western side of the story, this idea of don't put yourself in accord with nature. Fix nature up, and your crowd is the one that's doing it. We move now over to the Buddhist side, see? And what the Buddha is saying is, yes, all life is sorrowful. That's the nature of life. good and evil, everything, all these names that you give things, that which is good and that which is evil, it's all a mix, and that's the way it is. The Buddha used actually the terminology of a Hindu medical man. Medical man comes in and observes the patient. What's wrong with the patient? The patient is suffering. Is there a cure? Is there a cure for suffering? All life is suffering. There is a cure for suffering. The cure for suffering, what is the cure? Nirvana. What is the healthy state? Now, what is nirvana? There are many ways of getting this wrong. Nirvana consists in the psychological stance that makes you indifferent to suffering. What is it that turns your life into nothing but suffering? It is desire and fear. Desire for something, some delusory desire, and fear lest you should lose something. And this desire and fear, when they are quenched, you come to what's known as the Mahasukha, the great delight, the realization of rapture. And when you're experiencing rapture, pain doesn't hurt. And it's that getting into a center that gives you such a participation in the rapture of the process that you're right in the center there and are neither winning nor losing. You're in being. I mean, this is nirvana. Now, there were many people talking about nirvana in the Buddhist time. One of the great groups were the Jains, J-A-I-N. Jainism goes back almost undoubtedly to the Indus Valley time. Jainism, however, was extremely physical in its notion of achieving nirvanic release. The essential idea in Jainism was that the soul, what's called the jiva, the living monad, is infected with action, which is called karma. And this action blackens and renders heavy the luminous jiva. Now, they don't try to say how it happened. All they're saying is this is the way it is. And the goal of their yoga is to clean out the black, clean out action. And how do you do it? By sitting, mula bandha, all the senses closed, not acting, but you're breathing still. Boy, that's an act. So the problem with the Jain is to die not one moment before you have become completely released from the desire to live. It's harder than you think to get to not to want to live. And so the Jain community is of two groups. One is the secular group. This is the lay community, who hope that in a number of incarnations later they'll be ready for this next act. And next are the monks and nuns, who have cut themselves off from life and are, as it were, dead. They're trying to die. First step, of course, even the lay people take this step, is vegetarianism. You're on the way, my friends. This is saying no to the way life is. We don't kill and eat animals, but you're killing and eating plants. Okay, the Jains recognize that too. So there's another step where you don't kill and eat plants either. You wait for them to die. That's a nice supper for you. You don't pick an apple from a tree. You wait for it really to be dead. Also, you're very careful about drinking water at night, lest there be a little bug in it or something. And in Bombay, which is where the Jains remain, there are very few of them left, naturally, you see people walking with the sort of surgeon's cheesecloth across the mouth, so they shouldn't breathe bugs in and so forth. In fact, there was a very amusing custom in the old days in Bombay. Two chaps with a bed full of bed bugs, and they'll be walking through the town with the bed full of bed bugs saying, who will feed the bugs? Who will feed the bugs? I mean, you're being generous to life. I don't know why you want to foster life and kill your own, but that's, all religions have a point of absurdity in them. Well, a lady will then throw a coin out the window, and one of these two chaps will lie in the bed and become a grazing ground for the bed bugs, and he'll get the coin and she'll get the merit. On the other hand, you're trying not to eat yourself, and the first thing to do is to limit the number of steps you take a day, because every step you're pressing down on the ground and probably killing some little thing that's got its little dwelling underneath and so forth. So the days are gradually reduced to sitting where you are and not eating, and then, of course, it happens. The Buddha said, no, no, no. He said, this is reading the whole thing physically. What you must die to is psychologically your desires and your fears. And then in a very interesting way, life becomes positive. Well, we'll talk about that a little later.
The Buddha's life would be the culmination of hundreds of years of spiritual development in the East. Please join us next time when Joe Campbell tells the story of this remarkable man whose life became the inspiration of the first world religion.